Hey everybody, Mac here, and we're going to talk about greatest common factor. This is version C. I do have a version A and B and another video of me doing this on a whiteboard, so I am going to go through this pretty quickly because I have explained this before. If you stumbled across this and you don't know what I mean by doing it before, go to maxtutorials.com and you're going to see in chapter 8 there's a whole video section on greatest common factor, and this wouldn't be the one you'd want to start on. You'd want to start on the video of me explaining it and version A. But let's go ahead and go through these, and I'm going to assume that you've seen those. Okay, between 20 and 32, the best thing for us to do is to break these down. I'm going to break this down into 4 times 5 and 2 times 2. This I'm going to break down into 8 times 4, and this breaks down into 4 times 2. That breaks down into 2 times 2, and that breaks down into 2 times 2. That's a lot of 2's. Now I'm looking for things that are common. A 2 and a 2, so I pull out a 2. A 2 and a 2, so I pull out a 2. This only has a 5. Is there a 5 in common? It's not. There are no 5's in common. So I just multiply them together, and my answer is 4. Now I look at the letters, and you're going to take the lowest exponent. And that's all you do. Because I can get, that has 2, and that has at least 2, right? Can I pull 4 out of the 2? No, I can't. So that's why it's the 2. Let's go to 12. Will 18 go in the 42? Let me do this in my head a little bit. No, it won't. Okay, what's the next biggest factor of 18? It's 9. Will 9 go in the 42? It won't. What's the next biggest factor? It's 6. Will 6 go in the 42? It will, so it's going to be 6a to the third using the lowest power. Okay, so some of these you can do in your head. 14 go in the 49? No. Next biggest factor is 7, and 7 will, so it's 7m squared. Number 24. Now this one, you may see 6 right away, but there's some bigger ones, so always break it down. Will 24 go into 36? No. What's the next biggest factor? Well, that would be whatever times 2 is, which would be 12. Will 12 go into 36? It will. So 12y squared is going to be the answer. Number 5. Okay, you probably see the 5, but let's go bigger. 45, will that go into 60? No. Can I cut 45 in half? No, it's an odd number. How about 3? I keep just going up the smaller numbers. Well, that would be 3 times 15. Will 15 go into 60? You know what? It will. It'll go in there 4 times. And then I want the lowest, boom, which is going to be p to the 4th. Going on to number 6. Okay, well, let's take a minute and do this one. 7 times 4, and that's 7 times 10. Now, I didn't break it all the way down because I knew that I was going to find a common one right here. Boom, boom, I can pull out a 7. But I want to keep going because even though 7 is common, there might be a bigger one. And once I break these down, look what I see. I see a 2 in common. So I multiply that by the 7, and 14 is actually going to be my common. It almost looks like a 9, sorry. Better. Okay, and I want to use my lowest exponent. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let's go on to number 7 here. All right, well, this one looks a little nasty. That's going to be 9 times 6, and that's going to be 9 times 9. So I saw the 9, so I just did that so I could pull the 9 out. But I don't know if there's more. So I'm going to go 3 times 2, and I'm going to go 3 times 3. And lo and behold, boom, boom, there's a 3. So what really is my greatest? It's going to be a 27. See how I did that? 9's not a wrong answer if you're just looking for a common factor, but it is wrong if you're looking for the greatest. So you want to make sure that you keep going once you find one. Okay, so I know that 8 is going to work, and in fact, I know that it's 8. That's just too easy, sorry. 16 won't go in, cut it in half, it's 8. That'll work. These numbers right here, let's see. Now, this one can be a little tricky. I know that 5 will work, so let me pull the 5 out. That's 5 times 6, and that's 5 times 9. Boom, boom, pull out the 5. But now look at this. 3 times 2, and that's a 3 times 3. What else can I pull out? I could also pull out a 3. So what's really my common? 15, and I'm going to go t squared because I used my lowest exponent. Number 10. Will 22 go in the 44? Yeah, it will. So it's 22. That's why I start with the lowest number. Don't start with the highest number, okay, because that doesn't make any sense, because a higher number than the lowest can't be uncommon, okay? the highest number it could be is whatever the lowest number is. Okay, now on this one, oh boy, what goes into both of these? So that's a 9 times 7. I know that, so I'm just going to write that. What in the world? Well, hopefully a 7 will go in, right? Let's see. 7 times 7 goes into 8 once with 1 left over. 7 goes into 14 twice. Look at that. I found a common 7. All right? This breaks down into 3 times. Oh, let me cross them out. 3 times 3. This breaks down into 4 times 3. Well, guess what? I know 4 is not prime, but I could tell after I pull that 3 out, there's nothing left because that's just going to be a 2 and a 2, and that's going to be a 3 and the 4th. Boom, 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 boom. Number 12, 48 and 72. Okay, these are going to have a lot of numbers, so I'm going to really want to take my time with this. Okay, do you see one already? I see 8. Because this is going to be 8 times 6, and this is going to be a 9 times 8. So I know that I can already pull out the 8. Can I break down 8? Yeah, but once you find it in common, you don't need to anymore. So now I'm just worried more about that 9 and the 6. Okay, he's going to become a 3 and a 2, and he's going to become a 3 and a 3. What's in common? The 3. So my answer is really 24, and it's going to be q squared, because I always go with the lowest exponent. All right? Let's keep going. The first thing that I see in this one, and hopefully you see it as well, you'll see that a 6 will go into both. This is 6 and 6. This is 6 times what? 6 goes into 9 once with 3 left over. 6 goes into 35 times. So I know already I'm going to pull out a 6. But let's keep going. That's a 3 and a 2. And that's a 5 and a 3. 3, 3. What's my common? 18. Isn't that nasty? W squared. If you wrote 6, you would have got this answer wrong. Okay? You'd have got a common factor, but it wouldn't have been the greatest. Now this one, I see that 50, 75, and I go back to my old video game arcade games where you'd throw a quarter in to play a game. Okay? Except for Dragon's Lair. That came out as 50 cents, and my dad would never let me go play that one. 50 cents? That's crazy. But it was a really cool game. Anyways, so I know that 25 is going to be the biggest factor, and I'm going to have a d to the 4th. All right, we're getting there, guys. 6 more. All right, so this one I can see that, I'm looking at it going, I'm not really sure on this one. I know that this is 7 times 8. And this one, well, let's just go in 8 times 4. Hey, I said 8. Boom, boom. I pull out an 8. Now, 7 can't go anymore, and that's a 2 and a 2. I don't have anything else in common, so 8's it. 8 squared. Let's go on to this one, 27 and 45. Well, 27 won't go in the 45, and half of 27 doesn't work because it's odd. So what's 27 divided by 3? 9. Will 9 go in the 45? It will, so that's a 9j to the 4th. Let's go on. I have 4 more here, between 40 and 64. Well, I know 4 will work, but is there something bigger than that? Well, this is going to be 4 times 10. And this is going to be 4 times 4 goes into 6, 1 with 2 left over. 4 goes into 24, 16 times. So I know that 4 works, so I'm going to pull that 4 out and get rid of that. 10 is going to be a 5 and a 2. Oh, let me cross out these 4s. And 16 is going to be an 8 and a 2. Boom, boom. I can pull out a 2. Now, am I going to pull anything out of that 8 that's going to give me a 5? Nah. So that's it. 8v cubed. Let's go on to number 18. I see a 9. 9 times 9, and this is 9 times, do you know? 9 goes into 10 once with 1 left over, and that's a 12. I can break down the 9, but once I see a match, I don't have to break down anymore. I'm just going to pull out the match. Now I'm just going to worry about that 9 and the 12. Here I get a 3 and a 3, and here I get a 3 and a 4. 4 is not prime, but watch this. I can take out a 3 as common. Am I going to break anything from a 4 that's going to have a 3? No, because it's just going to be 2 and 2, right? So I'm done. So what's my common factor? 27z squared. And honestly, you're probably not going to find that 27 unless you do all this work we did right here. So do it and learn how to do it. All right, here we go. 24 and 54. Oh, dear. What goes into this one? That's a little bit crazy. Well, the first thing I see, honestly, I see a 9 and a 6. I see a 6. All right, so this is going to be 6 times 4, and this is going to be a 9 times 6. Pull out a 6. Now let's just worry about the rest. This is a 2 and a 2, and that's a 3 and a 3. I have nothing else common. It's just a 6. And I'm going to write the smallest exponent. And last one, will 35 go in the 49? No. What's the next biggest factor? It's going to be 5 and 7. So it's going to be 7. 7 will go in the 49. 7g cubed. My friends, this is how you figure out the greatest common factor. Okay? I hope that helped you guys out. I hope you get your A's on your tests, and I hope everything goes well. It's important to know the greatest common factor because it will help you when we do the next video that's on factoring. I do something called what's the same, what's left over. The what's the same is the greatest common factor. And like I said, you don't need it because there are ways to solve it without it, but it does help if you can do this. Okay? Good job, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.